Hey, it's Lynne Brown. I'm a speaker, trainer, and coach with the John Maxwell team, and a teaching partner with Empowered Living. The first half of my life, I spent people pleasing. And then in my spare time, I was literally trapped by the opinions of other people. It was more like living in a mental prison. And then one day, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, but I drew a line in the sand and I took a step in the direction of my dream. It was a small step, but I took one step in the direction of my dream. And it was absolutely amazing because as I began to change the way that I looked at things, the things that I looked at began to change. Of course, at that time, I had no idea that Wayne Dyer had said that in a quote, and I didn't even know what mindset and thought leaders and a growth environment was at that point. But since that time, everything has changed. The trajectory of my life has changed. And now I'm committed to partnering with people who want to do the same, who want to do, be, and have more, and become the best versions of themselves. And trust me, when I say this, I am not perfect. I am a work in progress. But I'm failing forward. And I'm better than I was, and I'm farther along than I was. So if you're not perfect, you've come to the right place. This is the right podcast for you. We don't allow perfect people here. But today I'm super excited to introduce to you the guest for today's show. Shannon Korn is going to share with us. She has a coaching business, and she's going to come in and provide some insight just on what she's doing, where she is, what she's most passionate about. Shannon, welcome to the Gritty Women Global Podcast. We are so happy to have you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Lynn. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you could carve out a little of your time today for us. And when people are willing to trade their life for you, that means a lot. It means a lot to me personally. And I just appreciate people, raising their hand and saying, hey, I'd love to be, on the podcast. They're just people that want to make a difference in the world. And I don't know about you, Shannon, but I'm seeing right now, I don't think there's ever been a more important time for us to make a difference in the world. How do you see it? How are you feeling about it?
I think that's so true. So this is just such a crazy time, and we're living through things now that we've never experienced in our lifetime. And so I think it's super important that leaders stand up, they reach out, they do what they can to support the people around them. And I think we just have to lead by example too. When we're coaches, when we're mental health professionals, we really have to model. We have to model how to handle some of this stuff so that we can support the people around us.
That's so true, and I think that there's so much noise, in the world today. We have so much access to so much information, and yet at the same time, there's so many people that don't know the way forward, and that they are. They're just trapped. They're trapped in the comfort zone. They're trapped in limiting beliefs. They're trapped in mindsets. And that's really how this whole gritty women movement, came about. Was I finally realized that I was stopping myself. And I totally believe that we can all become who we were created to be. But I think we have to look into our belief, how we view ourselves and our mindset. What are you finding with your clients? Of course, I know you're not, just in general, not talking about specific clients, of course, but just people that are coming to you, people that reach out to you. What do you find is the biggest struggle that people are facing today, even regardless of your clients, just in society as a whole?
I think it's really interesting that you mentioned mindset, because that is probably the thing that I come across most often. Is the things that people are struggling with aren't really external. It's what they believe inside, those self-limiting beliefs that they have. They kind of get in their own way, really, because they believe that they can't have better, or that they are just kind of trapped, or they have that almost that victim mindset. So that's really my passion, is breaking through those beliefs and watching women really grow, own their power, own their value, and just take on the world with it.
That's such a great point. I think there's so many programs that play over and over, like just a broken record in our mind, or most people don't even know what a record is, but a broken digital product in your brain. If your internet went down in your brain and it was playing the same song over and over, for those of you who don't know what a record is, but you know what I'm saying. Of course, records are coming back now, so the vinyl records, you know what a record is. But the point is this: there's so many messages that we grew up believing about ourselves, and some from people that meant it for good. They were being sincere. They were serving us at their best, but they were sincerely wrong.
Yeah. It's funny. I find that most of the issues that I work with clients come from like family of origin, things that they saw growing up, or messages that they received that weren't necessarily even intentional messages, but sometimes just those very subtle messages that we get from parents, teachers, partners, that as we're developing our personality and as our identity is developing, really shape how we view ourselves and what we believe that we're capable of. So it's a lot of almost reprogramming and breaking through some of these ideas that they've really had for most of their life, and haven't even really necessarily been super aware of that and how it's limited them. So it's really a learning and a growth process to work through those beliefs and create something that serves them better to replace those beliefs.
Yeah. And how are they're not going to know unless we let them know.
Exactly. And sometimes it's really that outside perspective. You're so close to the situation that you can't see the signs that there's a disconnect, or that there's something that's not working. So sometimes you need that outside perspective that can help you see your blind spots, if you will. So I think that's why, coaching or therapy is so helpful.
That's exactly right. It's so true. I mean, you hear the thing all the time when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame or whatever. If you're too close to the frame, if you're in the picture, whatever the thing is, but you just can't see. You can't give what you don't have. And these people, I overheard them talking at a conference one time, and they were talking about, packing their lunch for work. And they're like, I'm so tired of it. I'm just going to look for some new creative ways. And they were like, well, you should get on Pinterest. And like, well, who makes your lunch? I mean, why do you hate it so bad? I mean, what's the big deal? And the guy said, well, I make my own lunch. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, it's such a silly example, but if you make your own lunch every day, why don't you put something in there you like? I mean, it was just a no-brainer to me, but so many times that's how we are. I mean, that's how I am. I'll speak for myself. There have been times that I've just believed a certain way or thought certain things without really thinking into why. Where'd that come from?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it really is. It's just these random things that we've picked up from like our childhood, and we never, like you said, we never really stop to question why we do that. And if we do it and it's hurting us in some way, why we don't stop doing that. Right. It's like, it's really a disconnect. It's funny when I work with some of these women and they start to connect the dots. It's super cool to watch it happen. But at the same time, it's like a light switch turns on and you can suddenly see like they're starting to make these connections, and they're thinking like, oh my God, like, how did I miss this? Why have I've been getting in my own way this whole time? And, that can be very eye-opening for people when they have that aha moment, if you will.
Yeah, it certainly can. And it is refreshing. And again, it's so powerful. It shows the power in this process. And again, I think now more than ever, people need encouragement 24/7, all day, every day. But now, in business, in families, I mean, there's some struggle. There's some people that are truly are in struggle. And I think there's never been a better time for the coaching industry to add value however we can, whatever way we can, through this podcast. I mean, that is the whole purpose of this, is to hopefully be able to encourage and put a message out there that will raise, the awareness in people. I think right now, when it doesn't take long, if you listen to the news, I don't listen to too much news. I try to get the tips of the waves, to try to, keep up with a little bit of it, but I don't really stay there long. But what you see is it's just this, you see what we're just talking about, this mindset of just, I'm just doing this, or I'm thinking this way because I've always thought this way and I've always done it this way. And I think what we're seeing now is there are people willing to come to the table now and saying, how could we do it different? What could we do different? And I think we just need to drill on down and just look at ourselves in the mirror and just really be committed to living a true, authentic life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think authenticity is so underrated, just showing up. And honestly, that's one of the things that I really love about, having been in the therapy world and in the coaching world. That's one of the things I really love about the coaching world. Therapists were kind of trained to have a little bit of a mask, stay private. I feel like coaching, we are really encouraged to show up very genuinely and as our authentic, like our oh my gosh, I can't talk today, but to be very authentic. Oh my gosh,
there you go.
Not get
you
it
got
out,
it, girl.
Sometimes the brain just stutters.
Yes, it does.
So, that's what I really love about coaching, is being able to have those connections that are very real, very genuine, and you're just showing up in a very real way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is powerful. And I think even like what you're doing, with your business and transitioning to your business, your message you can get that message out in a lot of different ways, and I think even today, what you're doing, I mean, you have no idea, what an encouragement it will be to somebody, even if it's just one of our listeners, if one person begins to change, the ripple effect goes and goes and goes and goes. And so how we show up, I think you said it earlier, it's just how we show up and how we are modeling, how we behave in the marketplace, how we behave in our homes, how we serve and give and show up when in the traffic, in the whatever, when it all hits the fan, we've got to be leading by example. Our walk walks and our talk talks, but our walk talks louder than our talks. I mean, I'm not going to try to say that again, but
I'm impressed you got it out the first time. I couldn't even get authentic out.
Well, in a minute I might not know my name, but anyway, yeah, it's just, it's a choice. It's a choice. We have a choice every day. And this whole gritty women's movement came out of a place when I was up against a wall and I only had one way to go. And, my friend gave me a challenge, a gratitude challenge. And she said, for 30 days, every day, would you take this challenge of writing 25 things? She didn't do 5 or 7. She said 25 things a day. And I was so desperate at that point. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And that was 4 years ago. And just that one act, that one discipline in my life created more models of discipline. And it has changed everything in my life. It totally annihilated the shame and guilt. And I've done a lot of work, followed Brene Brown's work and on shame and guilt. And, I think that's so much a part of what's driving so much of the behaviors we see, with women in general, but I mean, men too. Men have shame and guilt too. And I think that this process of of being willing to drill down and take that real authentic look in the mirror is game changing.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it's so worth it.
It is. No, it's not easy. And neither is being trapped, is it?
No, being trapped is definitely not a great place to be.
Mm-mm. So we have a choice. We can be a victim. We can choose to be a victim, or we can choose to be a victor, and we can walk in victory and live from victory. It's a choice. Everything pretty much is a choice.
It's a choice and it's a process. It's something that you don't do once. It's something that you wake up every day and you recommit to doing it.
It's so true. There are no shortcuts on this road. And I think people are looking for the fast way. They're looking for, the easy way. We want all the hacks. And there are some good hacks that you can do. I'm not saying all hacks are not bad. All hacks, there's some great hacks. But some of the stuff you got to walk the road. You got to plow through it.
Absolutely.
And you're right. You got to do it again tomorrow too.
Yeah. And that's where a great coach can really be invaluable, because some days it's really hard to get up and make that choice. So I'm a firm believer. I have my own coach. I think that that's part of being an integrity, that, as a coach, I should understand what it's like to be coached and to have that, that experience. And, I think that can be such a valuable tool especially when you're first making those choices, because as you said, it can be, you can literally feel like you've got nowhere to go but that direction, but it can still be so hard to know how to take those first steps. So
that's exactly right. It's such a great point. Yes, I do too. I have more than 8 mentors. I mean, 8 coaches really. And I never really had them before. And so I just kind of laugh and say, yeah, it takes a whole one for every day of the week and an extra. I mean, it
takes a village.
It does. It takes a lot to keep me moving in, the forward motion. But, so in wrapping things up, when you heard the Gritty Global podcast, you raised your hand, and G is for gratitude, R is for resilience, the I in Gritty is for inspiring, and the 2 T's are for to think tough, and Y is you do you. Which one of those resonates with you the most, Shannon?
Girl, they are all amazing, to be honest. But I really love the you do you, because the fact that we are all unique, we all bring something special to the table. That's the thing that I love working with my clients the most, like owning their own unique, amazing selves and being able to show up very, very genuinely as themselves. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is. Not being a carbon copy, and just knowing your voice, your story, your influence will reach people that mine won't. And it's just we're all created to become that person, that great person that we were designed to be. So I just want to thank you again for joining us today and just sharing your wisdom and your passion for just empowering women and equipping them to become the best versions of themselves.
Well, thank you for having me. I love to come on podcasts, because I just love the idea of being able to touch somebody, even if you never meet them. If you can say something that touches them in a way that makes them believe that there's something better for them, I think that's just so powerful and so worth the time.
It is. It's just like, you know what? You can go to bed at night and go, wow, I made a difference somewhere.
Yeah.
At a time that makes a difference. No greater time than now. So thank you so much. Remember, gritty is the new pretty. It's the new strong. And yes, when we fall down, we're going to keep gritting up as many times as it takes. So I just want to say thanks again, for giving us a slice of your life today. And I look forward to staying connected. Tell us how we can get in touch with you, Instagram, websites, talk to us.
Sure. So you can find me all over the place. I'm on Instagram. It's at Her Relationship Coach. You can find me online, shannoncorn.com. I'm also on Facebook, Shannon Corn Coaching. And actually, if you check out my website, you can actually sign up for my newsletters. And I have a freebie that I created, 5 red flags that should have you running in the other direction. So if you have a hard time, if you have not found your dream relationship and you feel like all the guys that you date are jerks, you are going to want to grab that freebie, because that will really give you a few tips for things that you should definitely run the other way from.
Okay, girls, we got to I don't need that because I'm in a good relationship. But if you're in one that's not so good, or you haven't found the one for you, 5 red flags to run from. Is that what you said?
Exactly. That's it. Yep.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Shannon, for jumping on with us today. You go have an amazing, beautiful, gritty day, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.